Hi everyone, it's Joy here today, and I'm so excited to share 2 cards with you using the Christmas stencil strips. Now the products that I've used are the Christmas stencil strips. There's 4 strips here, and you can see here there's different designs on each of these stencil strips. Then I'm using the On the Block Happy Stamp, On the Block Happy Shadow, On Repeat Holidays, and the On Repeat Coordinating Die, the Petite Scalloped Rectangle Stacklets, the Simple Strips Christmas, and the Simple Strips Die. The cardstock that I'm using is Pea Pod and Sugar Cube. The inks that I'm using are Blueberry, Blue Raspberry, Spearmint, Mulled Wine, Pea Pod, and Mint Julep. I'm also using Versamark ink and a powder tool for heat embossing, along with gold embossing powder, Nouveau Glitter Drops in White Blizzard, and Nouveau Crystal Drops in Pale Gold, foam sticky strips, Scotch removable tape, and blender brushes. Now I have a piece of sugar cube cardstock cut to an A2 size piece, taped down to my Tailored Expressions grid paper, and I have the Christmas stencil strip that says Joy all the way across it, and I have it on a diagonal, and I'm taping off each section. There's 4 lines, and I'm taping off each one with some purple tape. And I've started with the first ink, which is Blueberry. Then I'm coming in with Blue Raspberry. This color is Spearmint, and the last color is Mint Julep. I'm taping off each section because I want each line to have a different color. I'm going to repeat this all the way down the bottom of the card, taping off each section, protecting the color before it, and also protecting my cardstock. Sometimes you might have to replace this purple tape with a new piece of tape if it gets too inky. But as you can see there, all of the colors coming down. I can see the previous inked image through my stencil, so I'm just lining that back up and coming in with my tape and taping off that first section and coming back in with Blueberry and repeating again with Blue Raspberry, Spearmint, and Mint Julep. I'm going to show you now down here at the bottom. I've gone through that whole part, and I'm just coming in and finishing up the last part at the bottom, again using my purple tape or any removable tape. Low tack tape that you want to use is perfectly fine. I'm going to move that down one more. And this actually does go quite quickly. And when it's done, you have this great, stunning background. We're going to peel that up and reveal how pretty that looks. Okay, on to my next background. This is the stencil that looks like poinsettias to me, or it could be a snowflake. But I have it taped off, and it's a single strip across, and I'm just going to pull it back and show you that the first color that I've used is Mulled Wine. And I've taped off the sections next to it because I want to alternate this with Mulled Wine and Pea Pod ink. So I've taped it down. I'm taping off the colors in between. I just don't want my inks to mix. I don't want to accidentally get my red and my green. So I am using a lot of tape here, but it does go really, really quick. Now that that row is done, I'm going to move my stencil up and off to the right. And as I keep inking, I'm going to keep shifting this back and forth to the left and to the right. As you can see there, now I'm going to go over to the left and line that up, and then my next row I will go over to the right, and I'm going to keep inking that the same way and moving it the same way all the way up my piece of cardstock, coming in with my tape and taping off each section. I'm going to finish up with this Pea Pod ink, and then you'll see on the left side I have a couple spots that need a little bit more of the green, so I'm going to line those up off camera and just ink those 2 spots up. Now that that is done, I'm going to use my MISTI, and I have a piece of sugar cube cardstock, and I have the On Repeat Holidays stamp set. I'm going to prep my cardstock with a powder tool. I'm using Versamark ink, inking that up. I'm going to ink that up a couple times to make sure I get a good, crisp, solid image. I'm going to come in with the gold embossing powder and sprinkle that on, and then I'm going to set this aside because we're going to stamp up some more sentiments from the Simple Strips Christmas on another piece of sugar cube cardstock. Again, using Versamark ink, prepping that cardstock with a powder tool, coming in with the gold embossing powder and sprinkling that on, making sure I have good coverage everywhere. Once that's done, I'm going to take my heat tool Make sure it's nice and hot before taking it to your paper and melt that completely till everything looks nice and shiny. Now I'm using the coordinating dies, the On Repeat die, and this large one is the Simple Strips die. I'm lining that up with those squares that you see on each side of the sentiments. This helps to line up your sentiment strips perfectly. I'm using some Scotch removable tape to adhere that down, run that through my die cut machine, and now we have all of these wonderful sentiment strips that we can use on tons of cards. Now I'm taking the On the Block Happy stamp, and then I also showed you the On the Block Happy die cut shadow, prepping my cardstock, sugar cube cardstock, and using Versamark ink because I want to do some gold embossing powder. This was a larger surface stamp, so I really inked it up quite a few times to get a good impression. Coming back in with that same stamp and using Mulled Wine ink and stamping that up. Since we have two cards, we have two happy sentiments. Using the coordinating die, lining that up, using my Scotch removable tape, taping that down and running it through the die cut machine. I'm going to finish lining this one up, and then we've got two die cut sentiments. Now on this Joy background, I am using the Petite Scallop Rectangle Stacklets, the largest one. And as you can see, it gives a great scalloped edge. I added some foam sticky strips behind that whole card panel because I wanted that to pop up with dimension. I adhered that to a white A2 size card base. I added the foam sticky strips to the Happy and the Holidays sentiment, and those are from the On the Block and the On Repeat Holidays. And then this large sentiment strip that says Walking in a Winter Wonderland, that is from the Simple Strips Christmas. And I'm coming in with Nouveau Crystal Drops in Pale Gold and adding a drop to all of the centers of the O's on this whole background card. I like that little added touch. And as you can see there, this is just beautiful. Okay, on to the next card. This is the die cut that was stamped with Mulled Wine. I'm attaching that to a strip of pea pod cardstock and trimming that down. And I'm going to add that to the bottom right of my card. Adhere that down, and coming in with the sentiment strips, I've got the word Holidays. Again, that's from the On the Repeat Holidays, and I have a foam sticky strip behind that. And then I also have a sentiment that says Warm Winter Wishes. That is from the Simple Strips Christmas. I'm adding a piece of foam sticky strip behind that because I want those two sentiments to be popped up. I'm coming in with Nouveau Glitter Drops White Blizzard and covering the whole happy word. I want that background to be nice and glittery, but you still can see that beautiful Mulled Wine ink from behind. I'm going to come in and add that White Blizzard, the Nouveau Glitter Drops White Blizzard, to the centers of each one of these poinsettia flowers because I want to have a little added sparkle and shine to this card. And once that dries, it dries completely clear and glittery. Thank you guys so very much for watching. You guys can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.